Midterms are now just 3 weeks away. No time to hold anything back. Tonight, the focus was on the 2nd congressional district race. Republican Scott Taylor, Democrat Elaine Luria in the same place taking on big issues. 13 News Now reporter Megan Puryear was there.
David, at the forum tonight, both candidates were presented with similar questions so the public could judge their answers against one another. But the main topic was their opinions on the environment.
The Chesapeake Bay Foundation had an open forum at the Brock Center Monday night on different issues impacting the environment. Members of the public came to hear the opinions of congressional candidates, incumbent Scott Taylor and challenger Elaine Luria. As the sun set and seats filled, moderator Quentin Kidd began the questioning.
What policy solutions do you propose and support to ensure that our 2nd district communities are protected from the effects of sea level rise and recurrent flooding?
You know, for this region, it's really a national security issue, and I think at the federal level, we need to have an advocate in Washington who will go there with this as a national security issue. We really need to seek strong investments in our infrastructure, and we need to make sure we have the resources to do that from the federal level.
Taylor also says it's a big issue.
We are the 2nd most vulnerable area in the nation to recurrent flooding and sea level rise. We were able to put language in that is now law that prioritizes DOD to work with localities and states to deal with access roads.
When it came to offshore drilling, Luria says she's permanently opposed to it.
It's also a national defense issue to interfere with military readiness. The localities, Virginia Beach and Norfolk and others, have passed resolutions to say we don't want offshore drilling. And not only that, but it's bad for the environment.
It's one of the several topics the candidates agreed on.
I'm against it. I'm against offshore drilling. I think I need to make that very clear. We actually proposed 2 amendments to ban it off the coast of Virginia and ban it off the coast or off the East Coast.
Wind turbines, do you support offshore wind?
I support anything that makes sense. It creates high-paying mechanical jobs because to work on them turbines, it's really good. It's high-paying. So we also, if we do move in that direction, I think we also have to have some skills developed to be able to teach people to be able to work on turbines.
As for Luria, she says the wind is the future too.
I think wind is an investment that we can make and have long-term greener, cleaner energy.
Both candidates asked that you come out to vote on November 6th. I'm Megan Puryear, 13 News Now.